What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the final game of the season. We made it somehow through this terrible dumpster fire of a season. We're finally here, week 17 versus the Eagles. And this is one that seemed like it would have when Saquon went to the Eagles originally. Our worst case scenario did play out this year. He's a lock for the offensive player of the year. He eclipsed 2,000 yards, and he was about 100-ish yards short of putting his name in the record books for history by beating Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record. So the Eagles have opted for benching him in this one versus the Giants. It is pretty meaningless for their situation. With the playoffs looming, they've locked up their whatever seed. And a lot of their starters have been benched. It would have been poetic justice 100% completely to be able to tune in on Sunday afternoon and watch Saquon potentially set a record, even though when Eric Dickerson played, there was, I believe, one less game. As now there's 17 weeks now. So he did have an extra game to attempt to do it. So even more credit to Eric Dickerson, who does have that record. Like back in the day, smash mouth football, the guys aren't protected. They're getting clotheslined, just legs chopped out from underneath them. So absolutely respect to Eric Dickerson. And then when they asked him if Dickerson wanted to see Saquon eclipse his record, he was like, "No, I don't want anyone to beat my record." So maybe, and that's something, a record, at this point in time that could stand for a lifetime, right? Where if Saquon couldn't do it this year, when is the next person going to be able to just have that wear and tear, and especially in a passing league, how that will ever happen as it continually moves in that way as well. So that's good for us Giants fan. We don't have to watch Saquon, roll out the red carpet, give him a gold jacket for his first season in the Eagles. And I will say, obviously, going back on it, I was super upset when he did leave to go to the Eagles. But honestly, because it is the Eagles and I absolutely despise everything about them, but Saquon always was a good guy deep down, and he's always done the right thing. His teammates have always loved him. It's not his fault. He was on a terrible era of Giants football. And they never did anything to really help him be successful. It was just, here's Saquon. You got, Nick Gates, Ben Bredesen, and all these other bums in front of you. Like, figure out how to, not get killed in the backfield and get 3 yards. It's one of the worst eras of Giants football. I don't actually necessarily see it ending anytime soon. Which brings me to my next point about this upcoming game this weekend, with the Eagles punting this matchup completely by resting all of their starters. If the Giants somehow win 2 of their last games this season and it saves Brian Daboll's job, I'm going to be absolutely livid. And there is a situation where I think, and I could be wrong on this, so take this with a grain of salt. If you want to tell me whatever, just drop it in the comments. But I did see somewhere, could be complete fake news, but somehow if the Giants win and every other team loses, I don't know if there's teams even playing each other or how the scenario would work out. But if the Giants win 4 games this year and are somehow picking 9th, I will be absolutely livid that we went through this whole season and we'll get literally nothing for it. Because a season this historically bad deserves a cleaning of the house. It deserves a top pick. Even last year with 4 wins, the Commanders were able to get Jaden Daniels and essentially changed the future of their franchise. Everything's almost like sunshine and rainbows over there right now. And that just is the power of a quarterback with good coaching. And but now, a year later, there are so many bad teams that the competition is just for this top pick is going to be fierce. And if the Giants don't come away with somewhere really close to the top, oh boy, like it's going to be another, continued, I don't know, like purgatory or hell, if you want to even put it there, for the Giants to climb out of that. And I don't root for my teams to lose because I think, that's losing. It's for losers, right? No one wants to lose. But in this instance, the Eagles could potentially really be just trying to screw the Giants. And I don't blame them. They've done this in the past, right? If we go back to, I think, uh, Chase Young was going to be drafted, or Trevor Lawrence, and the Eagles, instead of starting Jalen Hurts, benched him, and the Giants ended up pretty sure winning that game. And I don't think it was Doug Marrone, whoever the Jaguars coach is. I've said this on the channel before, and I always blank. Doug Peterson? It was Doug Peterson. Did the exact same thing. Peterson, who won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Guy, they could probably build a statue outside the stadium for the guy for him getting the Super Bowl with Philly. They did it for Nick Foles. But all joking aside, they ran him out of town because he lost so many games and had to tank, which set up the future for the Eagles, but it also came at screwing the Giants. I think it would be an absolutely nightmare scenario if the Giants were to win this game this weekend and something crazy happens around the league where other teams continue to lose and the Giants fall to like a bottom after pick 5 for this season. That would be one of the worst outcomes I could imagine with how bad this season went. And shit, I can't even fathom it. So, what do you guys think about that? My God, I can't even imagine. I think the Eagles are playing their third string quarterback too, so they're really trying to screw the Giants. And Drew Lock, after that performance last week, I mean, I'm not going to be pissed at the guy because he balled out. He had 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdowns, but why did it take so? I guess the opponent in the Colts was terrible, even though I feel like they needed to win that game. But I don't know. The NFL is really weird. It's really weird too when your team stinks and you're like in this predicament of hating losing, but losing becomes a necessity to change the future of the franchise. It's quite a conundrum. So with that, the Giants have to lose this weekend. I don't really care. We can't let it allow the Eagles to continue to gain an edge on us when they already have one of the best GMs in football and they've built what seems to be an extreme powerhouse for quite some time. And I've once the season started, a couple games in, I said, shit, I got to sprinkle in on Saquon for Offensive Player of the Year. Got him at some positive odds there. Wasn't a big bet, but it's going to be something to offset some of my, like, Daniel Jones comeback Player of the Year bet. And then another one recently, because I have friends that are Eagles fans, I had to, and I'm sick of hearing them chirp. I'm sick of hearing about how good the defense is, and no one's talking about how good our defense is. So I had to put in a Super Bowl bet on the Eagles. I already have the Lions. I feel like between those two teams, Eagles and the Lions getting severely banged up as the season is progressing. Eagles are an unstoppable wagon that's not really getting much credit. So I think between the two of them, I should be pretty decent for at least getting maybe potentially both of them in an NFC Championship game, even though it makes me sick to my stomach to even think about the Eagles having any more success, and I have to root against them, obviously. But if something does win and I am sick to my stomach, I might as well get something financially from it. And it's called the tax. When you lose, it'll be a happy $50 to lose because the Eagles can't win. Let's also just talk quickly about Malik Nabers and Tyrone Tracy, both eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark. One of, I believe, 3 wide receiver and running back tandems as rookies to do that. I do think it's a little bit. I don't know the word I'm looking for. I don't want to say disingenuous, but Tyrone Tracy Jr. looked amazing, but the way it seems like it's phrased is a little wonky because it's like 1,000 yards, but it's rushing and receiving. So we'll give him the credit there, right? Absolutely, but it's not like Nabers had 1,000 receiving yards. Tracy had 1,000 rushing yards. It was like 700 plus 300 to get to that 1,000. And good for them. We need some future stuff to build on instead of looking absolutely terrible throughout. And Nabers looks good when you have those 170-yard games, and he put the team on his back and was able to really win. 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, looked very good in the process. So there's a lot with Malik Nabers to be happy about moving forward. Just a matter of who will be paired as quarterback to make that work. Thinking of being who's paired with quarterback to make that work, rumors are circulating about the Giants potentially making a trade with the Vikings for JJ McCarthy. So let's take a step back and talk about this. JJ McCarthy was drafted in the top 10 of last year's draft by the Vikings. They did this not assuming, just they brought in Sam Darnold, who hadn't had the most success, really, if at all, until this point in his career, to compete with JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy goes down really early on in camp. Sam Darnold is playing to, I believe they're like 12-2 or 13-2 or something crazy at this point. The Vikings are, and there's talks of extending Sam Darnold to a long-term deal, which leaves JJ McCarthy kind of on the block if the Vikings want to go that route. This could all be rumors, hearsay, who knows what's true. The interesting part where the Giants fit into this is that would they be willing to give up a second or a third round pick for JJ McCarthy and the Vikings? Do I think the Vikings would already be willing to cut bait with a rookie who they invested in with a first round pick so highly? I don't think so. I also don't think the Giants liked JJ McCarthy enough last year to draft him. From what I had heard from sources, and maybe you could find this somewhere else, JJ McCarthy wasn't smart enough for what the Giants were looking for. Does that really say much when they trot out Daniel Jones, DeVito, Tim Boyle, and Drew Lock? I don't know. But from what the Giants saw when they tested, I've said like 45 names. JJ McCarthy, he didn't fit for their criteria from, what they were looking for from, I don't know, speaking standpoint, analytical, just quick on his feet. Not that I'm not sure if Eli really was too, couldn't imagine 21, 22-year-old Eli, wowing people with his personality either. But I don't think the Giants liked him. I think that's why they didn't draft him last year. And to be completely honest, I don't see this thing happening. I think it's a complete rumor, but it is an interesting conundrum for the Vikings. I've said conundrum way too many times today already, for how they want to proceed there. But anyway, went on a little bit of a ramble on this one. Let me know what you guys think. Do you want the Giants to win or lose? I'm definitely team lose at this point, even though I hate losing. I just don't want something wonky to happen where the Giants fall to picking ninth or something. That's just an unforgivable scenario. And then I also don't want 2 wins in a row to be like, oh, yeah, like recency bias is a massive thing in this league, right? If Dable has 2 back-to-back wins with 45-point games in both of those wins, I don't want that to be used as a reason for him to come back. Simple as that. Anyway, Reddit mailbag. All right, guys, it's Reddit mailbag time. Let's get started here. Tommy Cutlets and Drew Lock when it's time to draft a franchise quarterback. Ominous to the infamous 23. Was it 28-3 or 23-3? Super Bowl, Falcons versus the Pats. Tom Brady looking dejected and obviously going super ham after that. This team is so stupid. How the Giants came out after watching Shador last night. Of course, looking like an unstoppable Patriots team. Gotta leave this here. Love it when my bad football team ruins their draft pick. Eli Manning is a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2025 from Mark Stapleton. Great to see that. Cole would have been just fine instead of getting a Daniel Jones jersey. That's brutal. The Giants players don't want to hear about how their win today hurts their draft positioning. Wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, not one bit. That's not talked about with the guys. Guys are out here playing for their livelihoods. This is their job. A lot of guys, they might not be on this team next year. Yeah, so this is the thing with tanking, right? Wan'Dale Robinson says it right here. There's guys playing for their jobs and their livelihood. They don't want to work a regular job. They don't want to figure out anything. It's much easier if you do have the ability to play football in the NFL. You're going to do that, and you're going to play your best. And there's also the physical side of it. You cannot fake playing football. You'll get hurt, and people don't obviously want to get physically harm themselves. So, yeah, that's why you really can't tank, and that makes sense why they're trying as hard. But it was funny if they just had kept Daniel Jones at quarterback, they probably would land the first overall pick because Daniel Jones trying his hardest wasn't enough to get a win. Thanks to the fans that came out and support us this year, but we've got to be better. But yes, next year, the fire's burning up inside me to give those fans a show anytime I'm out there on the field from Malik Nabers. Yep. I mean, actually, a good quote from him in the media. Usually he's not painted, nicely like this, but yeah, showing leadership, wants to make the team better, and it's refreshing to hear guys not really do the whole bullshit shtick of saying I don't know, the most cliche things to the media that could possibly be said, and so I'm glad to hear some of the players say they need to be better. I want to play a team I know I could spank like the Giants. Let's up 45 points. True fucking lock. That's hilarious. What's it going to be? Get the first pick. This QB class sucks. Giants Reddit. Yeah, can't decide. Drew Lock and Malik Nabers is Sunday against the Eagles. Backups to drop our pick even more. Primetime Randy Moss. There was that one Randy Moss game where I think he was like 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, and like 200 yards or something. And then last thing I just want to touch on here was an ESPN thing. JJ McCarthy would have been a top, if not the top quarterback in this draft. Adam Schefter says teams will be calling the Vikings to inquire about their rookie QB this offseason. Kind of spoke about this earlier in the podcast, but yeah, I mean, I personally don't think this draft class is that strong. There's guys, I could tell you why I don't like all of these quarterbacks. I can't really tell you why I do like them or want them. But I'm here for whatever the Giants decide to do, and I hope it works out because I'm so sick of losing, and I hope they end up whatever the decision is, it's the right one, and we're able to change this franchise and start moving back towards a winning culture. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching.